Woohoo, we are live. This is Math 60, Intermediate Algebra 5.8, Summary of Factoring Techniques number 2 for page 3, or trois. And here we are on this page, we're dealing with trinomials, as in I'm gonna try to factor these. Okay, so never mind with the joking around. So we've got a bunch of stuff happening here. 2x squared plus 50a squared minus 20ax. First thing I notice is that, well, I noticed two things at the same time. One of the things is that these are in the wrong order. I'm going to rewrite this as 2x squared minus 20ax plus 50a squared. Now, if I were a computer, it wouldn't matter what order everything's in, but as a human, I find it easier to deal with the squares on the outsides of my trinomial. It's just going to make it easier for me. You do not have to do this, but I find it easier. Second thing I noticed is I've got some common factors, or at least one common factor. I've got a 2. Now, I pulled out the 2, and now I notice that I don't just have one variable, I have 2 variables. And this makes it a little bit more tricksy. If I'm going to use trial and error, which I personally am here, if I don't notice that there's actually another formula happening here, but I'm going to go ahead and use trial and error. If you notice, there's a square and then a middle term that looks like 2ab and then a b squared. That looks a little like a perfect square. But again, I'm going to use trial and error. So I'm just going to look at this part. So I'm just going to look at the x squared minus x minus 10ax plus 25a squared. And I am personally going to try to split it up into 2 factors. Now, since I've got x squared to begin with, I know it starts with an x and an x. I've got an a squared at the end, so I know I have to have some a's as well. So this is a little bit different because I have to start with variables and I have to end with variables. And then I also have to deal with the numbers. Now, the good news here is that in terms of trial and error, if I'm looking, I want to, remember we talked about this, this becomes the F, this becomes the OI, and this becomes the L in the FOIL when we've multiplied out. I'm going to look for things that multiply to give me 25a squared. And my options are, well, a times 25a or 5a times 5a. 25 doesn't break down that many ways. So I could try either of these. I think I'm going to try the 5a and the 5a, but I got to be careful about this. Even though this is positive, this is negative. So that's telling me that I've got some negatives in here. So I'm looking at negative 5a times negative 5a. So let's try that out. So what ends up happening if I multiply these two? First, I've got x times x, outer minus 5xa, inner minus 5xa, last plus 5a times 5a. So I've got x squared minus 5xa minus 5xa plus 25a squared. This is x squared minus 10xa plus 25a squared. Look at that. Look at that. I wrote my a's and x's. Oops, sorry about that. I wrote my a's and x's in opposite orders, but that's okay. Multiplication is commutative. So I've got it. This is correct. And in fact, if I had recognized this is also a perfect square, so I could use trial and error, or I could have noticed on this first page 3 terms. I could have recognized the perfect square formula right here. So that would have been that one. But I didn't have to. I could use trial and error. And so my full, let's see, let's put together everything, because this is not the full answer. Remember, I had to factor out a 2. So my final answer is going to be 2 times x minus 5a times x, whoa, minus 5a, that's a very fancy x, or 2 times the quantity x minus 5a, the quantity squared. And you could write it either way. Okay, woohoo, that's one down. Let's try another one. This one, I really am the king of not giving myself any space. I've got 12x squared minus 40x minus 32. This is going to be a much more traditional trial and error problem, or you could use the AC method. But again, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to notice, wait a minute, 12, 40, 32. All of these are divisible by 4. So let me try factoring out a 4. I get 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. Then if you're going to do trial and error here, just for this part, I would do 3x and x. And then I would look at negative 8. And I would say, draw a straight line here, give myself some room. Negative 8 could be negative 1 times 8, or 1 times negative 8. I could have 8 times negative 1, or negative 8 times 1. I could have negative 2 times 4, or 4 times negative 2. I forgot to lift you up again, sorry. Or I could have, let's see, positive 2 times negative 4, or negative 4 times positive 2. So the number 8 only breaks down into either 1 times 8 or 2 times 4. But since it's negative, either one of the factors could have the minus attached. And because I've got 3x and x, I could use it in either order. So I got to be willing to change the orders too. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 possibilities that I could try. So if I'm going to try these, for example, if I want to pick, let's see, you know what, I'm running out of space. So I'm going to try this one. Right there. So that's going to look like 3x minus 2 times x plus 4. And that's the trial. And let me try it out. I get 3x squared plus 12x minus 2x minus 8. That gives me 3x squared plus 10x. Okay, well, I'm in the right place, minus 8. I wanted a 10. Unfortunately, if we look up here, I wanted a negative 10. So if I get a 10 and I wanted a negative 10, what should I do? You're right. Let me put this in yellow so you can kind of follow the dots. This is the yellow one. So I should go ahead and do everything the same, but change the signs. So let me go to the one just below it that has a positive 2 and a negative 4. So let's try that one. 3x plus 2, x minus 4. I get 3x squared minus 12x plus 2x minus 8. That's 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. Yay! This is the correct one. Ooh, you can't see it, but let me write it right there. Woo-hoo. Okay, that's trial and error. This side is trial and error. Again, the way trial and error works is you're just writing out all the possibilities and just going through and trying to find one that works. Or, big or there, let's use the AC method. So I'm going to look at just the 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. I'm going to skip the 4. 4 was not necessary right now. I'm just going to do what was inside. The A times C, and I do have, Let me pull this out and remind you because it's been a while. It's been a while. Here's our AC method. We have to multiply A times C to get the product number. And I take B, and that gives me the sum numbers. Okay, so what the heck did I just say? I don't know. I hope someone else is listening. I mean, I don't know. It's a lot to have to like teach and listen to myself. Isn't that why we pay you guys to listen to me? Okay, so I get negative 24, and that has to be the product of two numbers. Oh man, my boxers are getting a little funny today. Then B, in this case, B is negative 10. Negative 10. So that has to be the sum of the numbers. Okay, so we look at negative 24 and we think what numbers multiply to give me negative 24. I could have negative 3 times 8. I could have 3 times negative 8. I could have negative 2 times 12. I could do 2 times negative 12. I could do, there are a bunch of other ones. I'm running short of time and space. I'm not running short of time. I'm running short of space. And so I'm looking at these, and remember, we look at the sum. Negative 3 plus 8 is 5. That's not what we're looking for. 3 plus a negative 8, that's negative 5. That's no good. Negative 2 plus 12 is 10. That's close. We're looking for negative 10. Or 2 plus a negative 12 is negative 10. Yay, this is it. This is it. Woohoo. I'm very excited, as you can tell. So then what we do is we take these two numbers and we say 3x squared minus 10x minus 8 is really 3x squared plus 2x minus 12x minus 8. The 10 opens up to be these two numbers right there. All the arrows in the world won't help if you can't see it. The 2 and the negative 12 go right there. And that's the negative 10 becomes plus 2x minus 12x. Then we use grouping. Let's see, I can factor out x. Factored out, this becomes 3x plus 2. And then over here, a common factor of negative 4 minus 4 times 3x plus 2. And that gives me x minus 4 times 3x plus 2. Did we get the same answer? Oh my goodness, this is very exciting. I know my arm's in the way. Let's see, how do we do this? There we go. Look, it's the same answer. Oh, this is so exciting. Yay. The problem is there's no room. Oh my goodness, it's so tiny. So what's my final answer? My final answer is that this 4 times those two factors. So my final answer is 4 times x minus 4 times 3x plus 2. And I've written it so that ant mathematicians can see it. Does that make sense? Even if you're not an ant mathematician, there's the 4 from up above there, pointing, and then x minus 4 and 3x plus 2. And then you're asking me 3x plus 2 times x minus 4, and the answer is yes. You could use either one of those. Remember that we need to multiply the 4 from above. So this 4, let's see, how can I do this? Oh my goodness. Let me try opening this up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so the 4 that was up here, that's right here. That 4, we have to include down there. I wonder if ants have highlighters. Ant mathematicians definitely have highlighters. Are you as excited as I am? This was pretty exciting. Woohoo! Okay, next up, we will do one more page of Factoring Palooza.